Good morning. Sorry about that, you guys. Having some technical difficulties this morning again. All of you guys have had a great weekend so far. Let me see if I can. Right. Okay. Yeah. Well, we got problems. Oh, I'm not sure what it is. Let's see here.
I came out the fire with praise on me.
There we go.
Last year tried me, but it didn't break me.
Thank you guys so
What
much
I
for your patience.
survived don't make no sense. If it wasn't for grace, I wouldn't be here.
Good
I saw
morning,
him move when I
Trico. Good
had
morning,
no plan.
Tay.
He made a way when I
Thank you guys so
couldn't
much for
stand.
connecting this
So when they
morning.
ask me how I got here, I point up and say, God's dead. I ain't flexing, I'm testifying. And every win got heaven's signature. If you knew what he brought me through, you shout it to no filter. 2026 gonna be a goddamn year. Overflow favor everywhere. What I prayed in tears, I'm living clear. 2026 gonna be a goddamn year. 2026 gonna be a goddamn year. 2026 gonna be a goddamn year. Every door you open, I walk right through.
We'll be getting started in just a few moments. I'm going to give a few more people time to connect with us, and we'll be getting started shortly.
I came out the fire with praise on me. Last year tried me, but it didn't break me. What I survived don't make no sense. If it wasn't for grace, I wouldn't be here. I saw him move when I had no plan. He made a way when I couldn't stand. So when they ask me how I got here, I point up and say, God's dead.
Happy Pentecost Sunday to those of you who will be celebrating the occasion today.
If you knew what he brought me through, you shout it to no filter. 2026 gonna be a goddamn year. Overflow favor everywhere. What I prayed in tears, I'm living clear. 2026 gonna be a goddamn year. 2026 gonna be a goddamn year. 2026 gonna be a goddamn year. Every door you open, I walk right through. 2026 gonna be a goddamn year. God did it. I came out the fire with praise on me. Last year tried me, but it didn't break me. What I survived don't make no sense. If it wasn't for grace, I wouldn't be here.
All of you guys are having a great weekend so far. Great week on last week.
So when they ask me how I got here, I point up and say, God's dead. I ain't flexing, I'm testifying. And every win got heaven's signature. If you knew what he brought me through, you shout it to no filter. 2026 gonna be a goddamn year. Overflow favor everywhere. What I prayed in tears, I'm living clear. 2026 gonna be a goddamn year.
Thank those of you who are just connecting with us this morning. Thanks so much for connecting.
2026 gonna be a goddamn year.
Give it about another minute or so, and we'll go ahead and get started.
And I walk right through. 2026 gonna be a goddamn year. God did it. I came out the fire with praise on me. Last year tried me, but it didn't break me. What I survived don't make no sense. If it wasn't for grace, I wouldn't be here. I saw him move when I had no plan. He made a way when I couldn't stand. So when they ask me how I got here, I point up and say, God's dead. I ain't flexing, I'm testifying. And every win got heaven's signature. If you knew what he brought me through, you shout it to no filter. 2026 gonna be a goddamn year. Overflow favor everywhere. What I prayed in tears, I'm living clear. 2026 gonna be a goddamn year. 2026 gonna be a goddamn year.
Good morning, fam. Thanks so much for connecting with us this morning.
Every door you open, I walk right through. 2026 gonna be a goddamn year. God did it. I came out the fire with praise on me. Last year tried me, but it didn't break me. What I survived don't make no sense. If it wasn't for grace, I wouldn't be here. I saw him move when I had no plan. He made a way when I couldn't stand. So when they ask me how I got here, I point up and say, God's dead. I ain't flexing, I'm testifying. And every win got heaven's signature. If you knew what he brought me through, you shout it to no filter. 2026 gonna be a goddamn year. Overflow favor everywhere. What I prayed in tears, I'm living clear.
Good morning, Anita. Thanks so much for connecting with us this morning. We're going to go ahead and get started, and those who are joining us later, they could catch what they missed in the playback. I pray that all you guys have had a good week last week, and that you are having a great weekend so far. Again, it is Pentecost Sunday. That's something that is traditionally celebrated in the religion and the faith of our nation. Celebrate Pentecost Sunday. For those of you who don't know what Pentecost Sunday is, Pentecost Sunday was almost like Mardi Gras in New Orleans. So at this particular time of the year, people will return back to their home land, their native land from all over everywhere, or return to Jerusalem, and they would celebrate for an entire week. Pentecost Sunday, which we celebrate, Pentecost Sunday was actually the middle of the Pentecostal celebration when the outpouring of the Holy Spirit fell upon the 120 in the upper room, and that movement spilled over into the streets, and thus the beginning of the New Testament church, in which our Orthodox Christianity faith is based upon. So there you have it. If you didn't know that before, I'm sure most of you knew that, but just in case you didn't, that's what is behind Pentecost Sunday. So on your timeline today, depending on your algorithm, you're going to see a lot of people celebrating Pentecost Sunday in church. It's going to be a lot of dancing and shouting and all of the things that come with church. But this morning, I do want to speak to your hearts about something probably that's a little different. It's not along those lines. Before I do that, remember stuff that's going on in the country. We had a shooting at the White House yesterday evening, I guess about 6 or 7 o'clock Eastern time. There was a shooting at 17th Street in Pennsylvania, I believe. So it wasn't at the White House. It was like on the street. It was in the vicinity. And so the gunman opened fire. Secret Service officers exchanged fire with him, ultimately killing the shooter, which had already been banned from the premise as in 2023, I believe. He tried to access the premises without proper authorization. And so he came back this time with some heat, and that's what happened. So, yeah, that's going on. Still, that drama's going on in the White House. We got the stuff in Iran that's still going on. Of course, that's going on. It's affecting our gas prices over here inadvertently, but that is, I believe, with a strategy. But yeah, so this is where we are. We have that going on. You know, you had Tulsi Gabbard that just resigned her last day working in the Department of National Security, I believe it is. Will be on June 30th. So there's things that's going on in our nation, political things that's going on. There was a huge race in Texas this past week, and it shook up some stuff. So we're seeing how all this stuff play out. But you guys, just catch up with what's going on, just so you'll know what to say when you pray, especially for your nation, your communities, and the surrounding areas. But this morning, I want to read a passage to you. One passage I'll read to you out of Proverbs, and it's Proverbs chapter 27. And I want to read this because this passage will kind of challenge some of the things that you've been taught, and probably it's going to help many of us to yeah, I think it's gonna help many of us to just kind of pace ourselves on our journey. Proverbs 27, verse number 1. And I'm going to read it from the Message translation. Typically, I read from King James, but I'll read this from the Message translation because of how blatant it is recorded here. It says, "Do not brashly announce what you're going to do tomorrow. You don't know the first thing about tomorrow." I'm going to read that again. It says, "Don't brashly announce what you're going to do tomorrow. You don't know the first thing about tomorrow." I'll read out of King James Version for those of you who roll like that. In the King James, it says, "Boast not thyself of tomorrow, for thou knowest not what the day may bring forth." Okay, so that is the exact same passage, two different translations, but the message itself is powerful. And I say it's powerful because, we are just like living in the heart of the manifestation, speak it into existence type of scenario and situation. This is our cultural and societal norm right now for everyone to just declare what they gonna do tomorrow. I'm gonna be doing this. I'm gonna do that. And so what happens is you end up, when you do this, you end up putting pressure on yourselves to meet deadlines in your life, not because God placed them on you, but because you've placed them on yourself whenever you begin to speak and share with others what it is that you'll do and what timeline you'll do it in. And the promises of God are without timeline. Number one, that's the first thing you need to know. The promises of God is without timeline. They are without timeline. There's no reason why you should feel pressured to put a timeline on any promise that God has made you or any endeavor that you're pursuing in a joint effort with God's assistance and His will working with you. So be careful about that, because that type of pressure is what discourage people and cause us to go into hiding and really begin to retreat. In many instances, we'll begin to retreat and kind of disappear, in all in the effort to save face. Really, because we've spoken on this thing for some time and we hyped it up, and you had other people saying, "Yeah, go for it. It's gonna happen. I agree with you. I'm in agreement with you." And so you get pumped up about this, more about the timeline and more about when it's going to happen than the fact that it will indefinitely happen. I'll share a personal testimony. I think about a year and a half ago. Yeah, a year and a half. Yeah, a year and a half ago, I made some investments, and I was depending on this particular timeline to see my returns on this investment. And it didn't happen in that timeline. It did not happen. And so I put another timeline on it. I said, okay, well, as soon as this happens, I know it's going to come through. This is going to be a great return on this investment. I know it's going to happen. And so I believed in it. But I began to get anxious because of the timeline that I put on it. I had particular calendar dates in my mind that I had attached to an investment. Now, I felt in my spirit at the time of making the investment, through my research and just through what resolve within myself, I felt good about the investment up until I put a timeline on it. Once I put a timeline on it, then my intentions and my investment had competition, i.e., the timeline that I placed on it. Whenever you have something that you're endeavoring to do, once you place a timeline on it, then that thing is competing with the timeline that has been placed, thus resulting in you trying to micromanage the process in order to ensure a timely delivery. And now I'm speaking of an investment that I made a year and a half ago. But it may not be an investment for you. It just may be some personal goals that you set, whether these are your goals that you set on your own, or if it's a promise that God has made to you, or whatever the situation is. It could be regarding your professional career. It could be regarding a relationship. It could be regarding anything. Once you place that timeline on it, then you establish competition for it. And so you really don't have to compete with your own goals and dreams. You really don't have to compete with any promise that God has made. Your obedience and discipline should never be in competition with time or anything else. What you do is, once your intentions are set, once your goal is established, you just pursue that knowing that you'll get there. Does it matter what time you get there? In case in point, do you know all of the 8 billion, nearly 8 billion people on the planet? When we were conceived and pregnancy was established, we all got a due date, right? We got a due date, and everybody was expecting that due date. And some of us hit our due date on the money. Some of us came a little early, but very few of us remember what time you were born. If you remember what time, well, if you don't remember what time you were born, just drop something in the comments and say, not me. If you don't remember what time you were born, because it's important for us to acknowledge that once you arrived at the in the fullness of time and at the delivery date, the goal was for a healthy baby and delivery, right? Without complication. Okay. And so once you arrived there, the time didn't matter. And you are the most important piece in your world. You are. And the time is insignificant at this point because you're here. And what matters the most is that you're here. Many of us, we've lost people that are close to us: parents, grandparents, friends, siblings, coworkers, schoolmates, all of the above. No one remembers the time of death because the time didn't matter that much. You know, people always say, like, would you want to know if you were going to die? Would you want to know how much time you had left? Some say yes, others say no. And that's your thing, however you want to do that. But at the end of the day, still, you don't remember the time of death. Very few people will remember the time of death of a loved one. So what I'm saying to you, I'm using this parallel about the time of birth and time of death to let you know that the most important things in life, the actual time of those occurrences, is never going to be significant or more significant than the event itself happening. And the same is true whenever you are setting goals and you have envisioned when okay, when you are envisioning your future, that's a beautiful thing. And I say go for it. Have a vision for it. But don't make the mistake of putting a time to it, because that time is only going to create anxiety within you pertaining to that particular thing or that vision. You know, we have when you are in a couple, you have these expectations from your partners, and you say, I want a partner that's going to do this for me and think about me and be considerate and all this stuff. And then once you get that partner, and while they're learning you, you've already put a time to how long it should take them to um, study you and then take your test and pass it. You don't know how long it's going to take them to fully grab a hold of who you are and to get those things in place. And many people walk away prematurely because it takes it's not based up on your time frame. You like, well, I've been doing this for 2 years, and a man should know whether or not he want to marry you in 3 months or 6 months, or if a woman want to be with you, she should know, and all that stuff. You don't know. You can't put times to the most significant things in your life, the things that are destined for your life. You can't put a time to it. Now, that ain't no excuse for you not to be at work on time tomorrow. I'm talking about things that are bigger. Oh, I need to go to the store. I want you to go to the store with me. What time? It don't matter. Once we get there, then Dr. Sim said everything gonna be fulfilled. No, I'm not talking about that stuff. I'm talking about whenever you put time to the most impactful things that should occur in your life, to the point until you have anxiety about it. You cannot sleep because you need to know what day, what time the Lord will fulfill a thing in your life. You want to know, it don't matter that it's coming to pass. It shall surely come to pass. At this point, you need to know what time. And I think that that's a sense of entitlement that we have adopted as a result of poor doctrinal teachings. Yeah, that there is no significant reason why we should adopt this with everything. Surely there are powerful accounts in the scripture where the prophet of God would say, by this time tomorrow, or this time next year, or by the time you get back home. Yeah, that those things did occur, but they were very rare. They were very rare. And so you have to be careful to know that that's just not what happens in life. You don't get to know the time, and having a gift to do so should not be used as a cheat sheet for life. If you knew what time and what date and exactly when everything in your life should occur, would you really have as much tenacity? And could you, without prejudice, move forward in life? Because if you see a good season and you know the time in which this season gonna switch and it's gonna be a great season, you will probably put your best foot forward. But if you know that you have a season of pruning coming, a season of growth, a season of stretching, you will procrastinate and end up trying to stay in the prior season too long, and find yourself out of where God would have you to be in that particular season or time. So that's why we have to be careful. Because if in fact you are going to really enjoy and be fulfilled once you arrive at your destination of appointed place, or however you refer to it, if you're going to be fulfilled when you get there, it's not going to be because you put a time to it. It's going to be because you arrived. What time is not going to matter. It's not going to matter. If I was to write out a $5,000 check tonight and send it to somebody, or right after this and Zelle somebody, I promise you, you would not rejoice in the fact that you got a notification at 11:30 today. You're not gonna say it came through at 11:30. It came through at 11:30. No, you're not. You're not gonna. You're gonna say what came through. The blessing hit. What time? I don't remember what time. All I know is that it hit. What time did your deposit clear? I don't know. All I know is that it cleared. The time is not important. That's why Proverbs 21, it says, don't brashly announce what you're going to do tomorrow, for you don't know the first thing about tomorrow. We don't. Not tomorrow itself as it relates to time, because that's what this scripture is referring to. We don't know. And to put that pressure on yourself is so unfair. To give you that anxiety is so unfair. And now you're dealing with anxiousness and anxiety because you've put time limitations on things that are way beyond time, trying to bring an eternal promise, a personal intention under the authority and subjection to time. And that's not the way it works. That's not the way it works. That's why you have to understand the power of patience, the power of being patient enough to be consistent and to persevere and to continue until whatever is set before you is fulfilled or accomplished or achieved. You have to have that. Have you ever, I want to ask this question, and I hope you guys, if you're not being honest with me, being honest with yourself. Have you ever put a time to something and it didn't happen in that time and you totally gave up and you was like, well, I guess it didn't happen. And you were discouraged and trying to pick up the pieces of your life and move on. And then from out of nowhere, boom, the thing comes through. And now you got to get re-happy. And you also realize in that moment that the time don't matter because I got it. I have a client who daughter asked me to pray because she was applying for another position in her career field. She will move way up. And so this just happened on last week. And so on Wednesday, they solicited the prayers for the interview. And then on Thursday, they solicit more prayers because she was supposed to know something by Thursday. Well, on Thursday evening, I got the thank you for your prayers. She didn't hear anything back, but thank you for praying for She wanted me to let you know she appreciated da 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 da. And I said, how is she? Um, well, she's quiet right now. I'm sure you know it may take her some time because she was excited because now watch this, because it was guaranteed. She felt like it was guaranteed, and so I think she's just probably disappointed. I said, understandably so. I said, but that's all right. And that was it. Well, Friday afternoon, I get a text. She got it. They called her today and told her she had it, and she's just waiting on her offer letter. You know, now see how you took yourself through there for 24 hours. It was coming, just not in the time that was set. How many of us do that to ourselves? We do it to ourselves all the time. And that is unhealthy. And you can save yourself a lot of anxiety by not allowing you to emotionally try to hijack a promise that is way bigger than you, by trying to co-author something that God has established and planned out for you. If God has already planned it out, why do you need to co-author it? He's already written it out. Why you gotta co-author? You want We do it all the time. All of us are guilty of doing that sometime or another. And what I'm challenging you today is to check the tendency that you personally have to operate like this in life, so that moving forward, you can find freedom. Have you ever been around a free spirited person? And I'm not talking about just like the regular people who have come to resolve with themselves. I'm talking about them extra free spirited people that don't really care nothing about time. Man, they seem so weird, but they have a peace that we never tap into. Now, I'm not telling you to get weird. I'm saying just think about it. They have a peace. They don't worry about the things that we worry about in life and time. Take their shoes out, stand in the grass, grounding, sunbathing, all this stuff. They not worried about, well, I got to do this by that time, or I got to do this. And you know how we get. We got so bad now until people be screenshotting their Apple Watches whenever they look at their clock and they say 11:11. Screenshot it and post it. Everybody commenting under thousands of like, all you see is 11:11. Don't mess around and catch 4:44 or see it on the license plate. You taking pictures of people plates, posting it. It's my third time today seeing this. We putting times to things that are so far beyond us, and you don't have to do that. We just don't have to do it. Listen, before we go, I want to say to you, what God has planned for you, it's going to happen. I don't know what time, I don't know what day, but I do know that He's faithful. I do know that if you just continue in Him with your heart posture right, your spirit right, and with the necessary discipline coupled with obedience, I do know that God can do exactly what He promised you without fail. I do know that He will bring you into your promised land. I do know that. He's done it over and over again. And he's not slack concerning his promises. So I want you guys, if you don't walk away this morning with anything else, I want you to make sure that you relieve yourself of trying to put a time to anything that you set your intentions to, but rather put your faith and trust and hope in God's ability to do what he said he would do and answer the prayers that you prayed and even the petitions that you've sent up before him. He's able to do it. Look, I love you guys. I'm going to let y'all go and continue your day. And I pray that you guys have an amazing afternoon, evening, and a great week on this upcoming week. If you need me before 10:30 Central Standard Time on next Sunday, then hit me up. Call, text, inbox, DM, email. Hit me up, and I'll get back with you at my earliest convenience. Thank you so much for sharing this window on your Sunday morning. I appreciate you guys. And also, before you continue your day, if you can please go and make a donation if you find these sessions weekly inspiring or encouraging. Please go and make a donation. You know how to do that. If you don't, reach out to the person that shared this link with you or myself, and I'll get that information to you. I bid you all blessings and Godspeed. Until next week, I will talk to you guys. All right. 2026 gonna be. Y'all see what's happening? I don't know what's wrong with my stuff. Every door you open, I walk right through. 2026 gonna be a God did it. God did it. I came out the fire with praise on me. Last year tried me, but it didn't break me. What I survived don't make no sense. If it wasn't for grace, I wouldn't be here. I saw him move when I had no plan. He made a way when I couldn't stand. So when they ask me how I got here, I point up and say, God's dead. I ain't flexing, I'm testifying. Everyone got heaven's signature. If you knew what he brought me through, you shout into no filter. 2026 gonna be a God year. Overflow favor everywhere. When I pray in tears, I'm living clear. 2026 gonna be a God year. 2026 gonna be a God year. 2026 gonna be a God year. Every door you open, I walk right through. 2026 gonna be a God year. God did it. I came out the fire with praise on me. Last year tried me, but